20 teams, 10 fixtures, and 1 minute preview per fixtures. Yeah, we got a lot of time for that on YouTube. I hope you're going to enjoy this one, guys. This is a new show idea. If you want to support that, likes and subscribes would be welcome. But we're going to use the Rob T graphics, Dean, and we're going to give our 3 nuggets of info per teams. You're going to kick us off with the home teams, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see if we can race through these. Hopefully you get some nuggets of information here that help you make your picks for game week 2. We're going to start with the first game, the Friday night game in the Premier League, West Ham versus Chelsea. West Ham, Wan-Bissaka got the best performance rating from the data sites, so look out for him delivering for them. They were extremely weak in the middle of the pitch in that 3-0 defeat to Sunderland. And at the moment, it's pretty unclear how they intend to fix that. So look for some Chelsea players who can make the most of it. Jarrod Bowen is still their best pick by a country mile if you really want to pick a West Ham player.
Like that. Chelsea, 2 shots on target only. 19 shots, but only 2 on target last time out. I really hope the goals can start flowing. But João Pedro, if they don't continue to start scoring, he's going to be benched for Delap at some point. So a little bit wary on João Pedro and him at least being 90 minutes. And Palmer, no open play goal since January is concerning. For that reason, I don't see Palmer as a legit, I'm going to captain him option. I've got 2 others and it's not Palmer. It's for me, Watkins and Salah. And if you own them, it's the Arsenal lads.
Very good. Very good. Let's move on to fixture 2. Bournemouth versus Wolves. I should have gone to Man City, but I'm going to go to Bournemouth versus Wolves. Look, Semenyo is going to be a golden pick this week after his 2 Anfield goals. I think there's signs of promise here. Despite conceding 4 times against Liverpool, I really fancy them to see off Wolves in this fixture. If you have Petrovic, then you can probably bring him in for this one if you'd left him on the bench against Liverpool. Bournemouth do have a couple of good fixtures here. So forget about the scoreline in the first one and start believing in Bournemouth again.
Don't believe in Wolves. They're in trouble. I think they could be in trouble. I do put money on the fact Agbadou will get DEFCON points. He's going to be busy and he's a DEFCON monster. Will he keep a clean sheet though? Unlikely. Rob T's graphics there say 15% likely. Concern here is with Strand Larsen and all the transfer rumours linking him with Newcastle. And I just wonder if Strand Larsen is just a swerve at the moment. He's in quite a few teams because he would probably take pens, but I think Wolves are in trouble and expect a Bournemouth win.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go back to the game I should have done, which is the early kickoff on Saturday. Manchester City play Tottenham. Tijani Reinders is the best value player in the game. You simply have to own him. If you haven't got him right now, go and do it. Stop this video. Go and get him in your team. Rayan Aït-Nouri is vulnerable in real life defensively, but in terms of how his game converts to FPL, he's ticking boxes. He's going to be a very strong pick across this season. So look out for Aït-Nouri if you've not already got him. And as for Haaland, I told you all summer you should have him in your team. He had 7 touches in the box in the first game of the season, 6 shots on goal. He scored 2. He also missed 2 big chances. If you haven't got him, all the best here.
I'd captain him if you own him as well.
I'm gonna.
Spurs, it's going to be a 3-5-2. Now that changes things for 2 key FPL assets. It makes Pedro Porro a wing back, not a full back. He's effectively a wide forward in that system, and it means Kudus down the middle. Kudus will be a threat on the counter. The bookies massively, of course, favour City. Do you go by Richarlison off the back of a brace? No, he will be sharing minutes with Dom Solanke. Bear that in mind, guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Next game, Brentford versus Aston Villa. A 3-1 defeat at Forest for Brentford first time out. One positive was that Igor Thiago got his first goal, converting from the spot. They only had 3 shots on target. They didn't look very good at all, Brentford, on the first day. But Lewis Potter-Keane is one of the more dangerous players if you want to look out for him longer term. I wouldn't be jumping on him right now, though. Another reason for some optimism around Brentford is Kevin Schade did get minutes in the game in the end. We weren't sure how much we'd see of him in the early stages of the season, but we might even see him from the start for this one.
Yeah, Konza we won't see. Suspended, but only for 1 game. You don't need to knee-jerk sell Konza. And by the way, Villa, fair play, they kept a clean sheet against a good Newcastle team, but they didn't offer much in attack. They should offer it against Brentford, who are poor versus Forest. And Ollie Watkins is a legit captaincy option. against his old club, remember. Ollie Watkins has got a good record when he goes back to Brentford, and I fancy him to get on the score sheet. Morgan Rogers was quiet last time out. Don't knee-jerk sell either of these Villa attackers. The fixtures are brilliant for the next 5. Guys, if you're enjoying this fast-paced content, let us know in the comments. We'll look to do one of these shows every week if there's a demand for it. Like, subscribe, and comment.
Absolutely. Right, let's move on. Burnley versus Sunderland, the game nobody is desperate to watch, but might actually be really interesting for FPL assets. Look, Burnley, expecting them to be the worst team in the league, if I'm totally honest. And even in this game, a home fixture against one of their relegation rivals, I don't really trust them. Beaten 3-0 by Spurs first time out, only had 33% of the ball, which I guess we got to expect across the season. They did manage to get a fair few shots away, which is actually somewhat surprising. And Anthony Jadon had 4 shots himself. He's 5.5 million in this game, which is probably slightly overpriced to actually want to go there. But look out for him because he's one of the Burnley players that might actually become interesting. Dubravka is obviously the people's choice as a goalie pick. Realistically, this is the first game where we can properly start to judge him. So just keep eyes on him.
Be interesting if people select Dubravka over Sanchez or Sells, because a lot have got that combo. I'd play him over Sells, probably not Sanchez, but this is a 0-0, isn't it? I mean, look, the total score projections here, 1.2 plus 1.1, 2.3 total goals in the fixture. That is the lowest of any fixture here. This could be a 0-0. And actually, if you've got an Esteve or you've got a Dubravka or the Sunderland defenders, Renildo, you could chuck him in. Worth noting, Mayenda and Isidore both scored. Mayenda started, Isidore finished. Both number 9s there scored goals, and only one of them gets in the 11. What does that do for Mark Guiu's hopes of getting minutes? Well, he's third choice now. He ain't even coming off the bench. That's a slight concern if you own him and if you're expecting minutes and you've got a bench boost to prepare for.
Absolutely right. The late game on Saturday is Arsenal versus Leeds. Great news for Gyökeres owners is that Havertz is now injured. Not good news for Arsenal fans because you don't want to see that. But Gyökeres, we've got better chance now of him getting more than an hour, at least in the short term, while Arsenal decide who they're going to replace him with while Havertz is out injured. So Gyökeres, there's potential for points here, obviously, as well. The fact that he's playing against Leeds United, who are going to be in that bottom section of the table this season, gives him an opportunity of scoring his first Arsenal goal. Remember, Arsenal's goal in the first game against Man United came directly from a corner kick. Set pieces are going to continue to be a strength of theirs. I'll keep saying this. Declan Rice is a very good pick at 6.5 million. Look, this game will have goals and most of them likely to go in Arsenal's favour. In the last few years when these teams have met, Arsenal have scored 4 goals on 3 occasions. So there is the chance of a battering.
Mate, Anton Stack for Leeds might have been the player we've all been sleeping on in midfield. There's sexy budget picks in midfield. Reinders, Elliot Anderson, Dewsbury Hall. Names we're all very familiar with. Anton Stack is 6'4" and takes corners for Leeds. Interesting. But it's great delivery. He picked up DEFCON points. He got an assist. He's useful. He clocked really good XGI as well. Like, you don't expect a Leeds central midfielder to clock 0.56 XGI against Everton. There's something about him, 0.3% owned. I think he could be really good. The fact he's on set pieces, Leeds are a really tall team. But if he's going to pick up DEFCON every week, he got 13 defensive contributions. Keep your eye on Anton Stack. And look, not much is expected of Leeds. Can they park the bus and sit deep, or are Arsenal going to score a few? If you've got Leeds defenders like Goodmanson, Rodon, you bench them. But Leeds might have been the most impressive newly promoted side that's come up in recent years in terms of what we saw on the opening day.
Yeah, I think you're probably right with that one, mate. Let's move on to Sunday's game. Crystal Palace play Nottingham Forest. Palace in a bit of turmoil right now. Players seeking moves and also the pile up of fixtures that could come with their European adventures that they're eventually going to get underway. In terms of individual ratings and stats, they came off second best to Chelsea, even though they did manage to get a draw out of that game. But Mateta did manage to win most duels in that game. He got a couple of shots on target. I actually quite fancy Mateta in this fixture, so look out for him. I think generally so much depends on Eze and Guehi. The chances are that at least one of them is gone by the time this fixture gets underway. So all I can say is keep an eye on that Palace transfer news and also keep an eye on Oliver Glasner's comments because I think morale might be taking a dip.
Forest. Oh, I think a lot have got double Forest defence or Sells and a defender. I don't think you start them both. I expect Palace to score, although this could be a Murillo DEFCON game. He's going to be up against it. He's going to be man-marking Mateta. He's going to be busy. DEFCON points could flood in. I'm going to be benching Williams, starting Murillo. I'd start the Bravka over Sells as well there. Chris Wood, can the goal scoring continue? I don't think it's sustainable that he keeps scoring with low XG chances. But as always with Chris Wood, watch this space.
Yep, absolutely. Right, let's move on to the next game. Everton versus Brighton. So Everton gave up 21 shots in their first game. They've been seen off. Okay, a bit of a controversial manner, but it wasn't a good start for them at all. So beware with your Everton defensive assets, because even when they've seemingly defended quite well, they've still not won. Grealish and Barry only played small roles in that game on Monday, but they are expected to have bigger involvement. One of them, I think, will start this game. This is going to be obviously the start of their new home. So there is that feeling that something new is beginning here. There'll be a sentimental touch to everything going on at Everton at the weekend. So if you've got Brighton players, just beware that the occasion might help Everton pull out a result.
Yeah. De Kuiper dangerous. Rutter not nailed. O'Reilly on pens. That's my Brighton summary. O'Reilly, by the way, is like 4.5 or 5 million. He's proper cheap. And he's the starting 10. We thought that would be Jorginho Rutter and Welbeck 9. Let's see what happens now Welbeck's back fit. Who takes the 9 spot? I expect Rutter's in the 11 some way, shape or form. But he ain't a 90-minute man. And Gameweek 1 showed us that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. My boys, Fulham, play against Man United on Sunday. Good news for my boys as well. Rodrigo Muniz has not joined Atalanta as was feared. And that makes him a more tempting pick now in this game. He scored a late goal at Brighton after coming off the bench. He stood there holding his Fulham scarf. Iconic stuff. Could get the start against Man United this weekend. No new signings as I sit here for Fulham, but they do have a foundation that is pretty strong, and that gives them hope, I think, of a result in this game. Let's remember that Josh King is going to be a strong value pick in FPL this season. At 4.5, he's going to get enough starts that we can be confident his price will not drop.
Interesting. Man United, does Ahmad come in for Dalot? I think so. Look, Ahmad and left back, Dorgu, that they might be the most underrated picks. They might be the access you need to the Man United attack. They are flying wingers when they play. It's very much a back three. Don't view them as defenders, the wing backs at United. They're wide forwards and they give the United the width. Now you've got to spend 9 million for a Bruno, 8 for an Mbeumo and a Cunha, 7.5 even for Sesko could seem steep. 4.5 million Dorgu is the most underrated pick and the one that I am so annoyed I didn't pick for game week 1. Seeing him against Arsenal, we hit the post and we'd seen it pre-season. We knew what we were getting, but United actually looked quite good. We didn't know that before game week 1. We maybe know that now, but it was just 90 minutes versus Arsenal in a game they lost. We shouldn't overreact, but maybe, just maybe, they've turned a corner.
Maybe indeed. The final game of the week will be Newcastle against Liverpool. Newcastle just in turmoil now because of Alex Isak. He's completely rocked the foundations of St. James's Park. Everybody seems to be frustrated by him. And I think it's had an impact on how they continue to get started this season. They should have won, to be honest, in the first game against Aston Villa. They had more shots on goal. They had the better opportunities to do that. And yet they still fail to score because they do not have a striker. The failure to land Visser so far as I sit here, the latest bid has been rejected again. That's not good news for Newcastle. Will we see Anthony Gordon through the middle? We might. I have to say, I still think Anthony Gordon is a good pick in FPL. I think he's very dangerous. He's not playing his favoured position at the moment, but it looks to me like if any chance is going to come, or if someone creates their own opportunity, it's going to be Anthony Gordon.
And it's Leeds and Wolves up for Newcastle after Liverpool. Leeds and Wolves could be a nice entry point for Gordon. I like that shout. Liverpool, I think Mo Salah's still the best captaincy option if you don't own an Arsenal or a City attacker. And the majority of you watching don't own Haaland, Saka or Gyökeres. Dean, I think you've got 2 of those 3. This is always a high-scoring fixture. There's going to be goals. I hope this becomes a bit of an end-to-end basketball match. And actually, the way Liverpool set up Game Week 1 suggests that that's maybe their approach this season. Newcastle at home will have momentum and they'll have a go as well. The midfield battle will be interesting because Joel Linton, Tonali and Bruno is a very hard challenge for any midfield in the league. But if Liverpool can come out on top there, they'll score more than the 1.9 goals here. It'll be an interesting one. I can't wait to watch this game.
There we go, mate. That is our new segment here on Chasing Green Arrows. We didn't do too bad. We've hit about 15 minutes in the end rather than the 10. Maybe we'll improve it as we go through the season. We hope you did enjoy this, though, and we hope you feel better informed about the games that are coming up at the weekend. Enjoy it, people. We'll see you soon.